I'm starting to like this intro song. Hello, everyone. I'm Wally here, and this is just a chat, of course. Today, we're going to be watching Christine Grace Smith and her take on why single men are happier than you think. I'm getting there as well, so why not? Let's see her reaction, maybe my reaction as well. Of course, I'm just going to give my plain, simple, regular, down-to-earth reaction, yeah? Might peak to some short videos after that, so we'll see. If you have any other videos that you would like us to watch together, drop them in the comments, of course. It doesn't matter if you're watching the replay or live now. And let me just post this in the live chat. So if you want to join me live, chat about whatever you want, feel free to do that. We can have up to 9 people here, so why not take advantage of it? Feel like talking to someone? Hit me up. Cool. Let's jump to Christine. And let's do it like this. Okay. This is Miss Christine. Let's just like her video. Why not? And she has 100,000 subscribers, man. And this video was done like 3 days ago. She's doing good. I like it. Cool. Let's see what she has to say.
Hey, it's Christine Grace. Welcome back to my channel. So
Hello,
I've
Christine.
been sent this video in called Why Single Men Are Happier Than You Think. And I've been asked to do a little reaction to it. So that's what I'm going to
Because of the silence, maybe.
do. Like the video as we get into it. And let's do that. Let's get straight
Already
into
did that.
it.
Single men are much happier than most people think. In fact, being single is such a relief for most men once they release themselves from that cultural paradigm that they need to have a woman in their life in order to be considered relatively happy. Well, the truth could not be further from the paradigm that we're living in. Men are much happier on their own without a woman in their lives, especially these days. Men right now, even approaching a woman is a very risky proposition. There's a relatively good chance that whatever you do is going to result in you either being canceled or turned into somebody's TikTok meme or being accused.
And it doesn't matter if you're trying to approach her or not. It doesn't matter if you're at the gym, on the street, at work. It doesn't even matter if you're just doing your job. I've been accused of being a bully because I told one of my waiters at some point how to do her job. And after she threatened to make an official complaint about me and had the actual discussion with cameras, of course, she admitted that I was actually the only manager telling her how she should do her job, and I was just following protocols and everything else. And my guilt was actually respecting my position. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter. You can get toasted at this point, no matter what.
Accused of being a creep or a predator. So why even bother?
An animal, actually.
I mean, there's just way too much risk and way too little reward for most men to justify getting into a serious relationship with a woman. I would suggest that not only is it a bad idea for men to do this, but I think that men will ultimately be way happier on their own when they find their own path and they let go of this idea that they need to have a woman in their lives. Women are much more trouble than they're worth. Now, if you're a man and you're married and you've got a woman in your life, I hope it works out for you. But for those of you who have not found a woman and you feel like you need to, I want to offer this to you as an opportunity to give.
Okay, straight off the bat, like your happiness should not be dependent on another person. So, you know, obviously
True.
we're going to get right into this video, but if this guy's message is that you're
That's why I'm saying, and I think a lot of people are saying as well, before you get in any kind of relationship, first of all, you have to spend some time with yourself, sort out your shit, be happy with yourself as well. Otherwise, you're already going on the wrong foot into any kind of relationship. And I think your chances of screwing it up for everybody increase dramatically. So, yeah.
you're perfectly capable of being happy on your own, then I absolutely agree with that. And your happiness shouldn't be dependent on another person. Another person coming into your life should be an add-on. It should add to your life. And the purpose of going into someone else's life should be that you want to add on to their life. This culture that we have of, getting into a relationship means I'm receiving something and you want to see what you can get out of it. No, it should be, what can I offer to this person's life, and vice versa from both of you. So I agree with the sentiment here that you don't need a woman to be happy, but it should be a nice thing to have one. I'm not going to sit here and say I agree with the fact that you shouldn't want a woman, because then that's the end of the human race.
Unfortunately, yeah, and we can already see that less and less kids are coming up in Western civilization. So take it Europe, take it America. Ooh, sorry, miss. I stopped you in the wrong. Close up there. And I do hope everyone gets a relationship. And it's the whole idea of me reacting to this kind of stuff. It's not that I'm against relationships. I'm basically trying to understand what's going on generally around, because I haven't been single for a long time. And apparently things have changed a lot. So I'm just catching up. I'm literally just catching up. Unfortunately, if I look around me with my friends, most of them are single or just recently became single. Some of them are actually choosing to stay single, and they seem the happiest of them all. That and some gay couples that seem really happy. But I don't know what something has to go on there. I'm waiting for all the gay guys to tell me, it's like, why are you guys so happy? You must know something, and I think it's about time for you to share. But let's see.
But I do get where he's coming from, that unfortunately now for a lot of guys, it's not that it's nice to have a woman, it's stress, it's hassle, it's potential risk.
Life a different thought. Have a different perspective. Consider the possibility that not having a woman in your life is a blessing, and the opportunity for happiness for you is just as great or greater than any married man could be. So let's talk about it.
Okay, that's a bit extreme though.
We all get one life to live, and finding happiness is elusive enough as it is. But when men are facing bigotry from women that is endorsed and accepted by society as a whole, it makes it even more difficult. And so endeavoring to build relationships with women for many men is becoming less and less of an option. Men going their own way is just a natural order of things. And there's an enormous amount of
I don't know the channel, I don't know the guy, but I would kind of wager at least a quarter that this guy got toasted big time. He still has the dogs. Amazing scenery, but maybe he lost a lot in a divorce or something. I don't know. If anyone knows where's this from, the original, or knows anything about the guy, I would be curious to know. But it seems like he got toasted a lot.
fulfillment and opportunity for men out there on their own. And in fact, in many ways, women are a hindrance to men's happiness.
That's a real shame.
Belief and idea that we need to have a woman in our life that has been the historical norm and the paradigm that we have been living under for such a long time, that breaking free of that paradigm and exploring our happiness and our independence and our ability to find meaning in our lives without the burden of having to care for a woman is just a great opportunity. So
it's not about caring for a woman. This like I get you finding your happiness and all of that by yourself and on your own, and yeah, but it's not about caring. So, like she said as well, a couple or a partnership, like you call it now in 2025, should be about completing each other, helping each other. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. What part of the couple is better at a certain thing? You deal with that. I deal with the other one. It's together we are stronger. It's if you're going just on the idea of caring and that's only your responsibility. First of all, I don't know if it aligns that well with woman's mentality at the moment. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation if you go like that with it.
Don't feel for a moment that you're not complete as a man just because you're not married or you don't have a full-time woman in your life. Because women are just one thing. They're just one option. And for those of you guys who are happily married, good for you. You know, good on you.
You found the one.
But if anyone who has been married for any length of time knows, it's not an easy track. I mean, it's a very, very difficult task. Being in a long-term relationship with a woman, they're very difficult to manage. They're extremely emotional. They're extremely irrational. And they're very simple and straightforward in their needs and their desires, and they communicate it to you directly. Women are not like that. And so having relationships with them can be extremely difficult. So today we're going to...
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
No, he's not.
I'm going to talk about how men find happiness on their own without a woman in their lives. Society has a tendency to view men who are single as unfulfilled or lonely or incapable of having a full, meaningful life. And nothing could be further from the truth.
Not really. Most of the guys that I know that are single, they're happy. They're chill. They don't deal with headaches, especially when the headaches are not theirs. Mood swings. And the list goes on, but it is like we don't have enough time for that.
In a society that has promoted women to the point where it's okay for them to say things like all men should die and men are useless and we don't need men anymore, and
we want to live with
these
the bear
kinds of
in the
bigoted
forest.
statements without holding them accountable. If I said something like that about any ethnic group, if I said that about women or transgenders or, Jews or Catholics or Muslims, I would be called out as a bigot, as a racist, as a misogynist. True. But women can get away with this shit like they're immune to society's standards. They can say evil, mean things about men without being held accountable. And so it's very clear from that perspective and from the perspective of family court that women are getting most favored person treatment in the world right now. And in a marketplace between men and women.
And not only, I always go back to that crappy commercial that we had that's in UK with, I don't know, Johnny goes to the club, meets Joanna. Johnny and Joanna get drunk. Johnny and Joanna go home. Johnny and Joanna have sex. Next morning, Johnny can go to prison because Joanna didn't give consent. Like, hold up a second. Like, nothing was forced there. They were both drunk. Why is only Johnny going in trouble? This is like it. For me, that's sexual discrimination. You put it however you want, but it doesn't really seem fair. And I think that's part of the problem that, especially I think young guys have. As like, what courage should I have to like interact with a woman if I don't know if in the next morning I'm gonna be in prison or not, just because she woke up and she has remorse? And I'm not saying that all of this didn't start with good reasoning. It did. It just escalated in the extreme so fast that like we couldn't even look behind. It's like, wait. We started from yes, you have assholes. We need to protect women from assholes. Now it's like, well, we don't want to touch you. And I really think this guy got burned.
Where it's very important that the dynamics at least have some kind of rules that everyone can play by and agree to, and women live outside of those rules, well, why would men want to enter into any kind of a long-term relationship with them? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense at all. Life 1.0 tells us that we need to get married. That's one of the boxes that we need to check in our lives. And I think as men being raised primarily by women, and inevitably, unless you were a helicopter child or you were a single child, you probably didn't get a lot of nurturing from your mother. I certainly didn't. I think that Generation Xers like me, we were not the purpose of our parents' lives. Oftentimes we felt like we were an impediment to their lives.
The survivors.
So seeking out a woman's comfort is something that I think our generation really sought out, or that's something that we...
That's a really fair psychoanalytical point. I mean, I don't know much about Generation X in regards to child rearing, but I do think it's a fair point that men and women, you know, the whole...
I think one of the things that it's easy to know about that generation is, especially I think in America, they had even a commercial like, oh, it's 8 o'clock. Is your kid still back home or something? So that's how much they cared. I grew up in Romania, so for us it was a bit different. We didn't even have the commercial because we didn't get TVs that early. So yeah, our system was when the lights go on the street lights, it's about time you head home. But other than that, there's like, I still remember my dad. I went out. He sent me out to play, of course. I came out after like half an hour, 1 hour, and he just sent me back out. It's like, why are you home? You know, I didn't find anyone to play with. Like, there's no one there. That means you didn't look for, like, you didn't look hard enough. Go back. Don't come back. Okay. That's how wanted you felt. And the nurturing part, for us, it was like, I caught up really like post-communist Romania. So feelings were not really there. As a dude, you weren't allowed to have that many feelings anyway. So yeah.
whole kind of premise of this video is that you don't need a woman to make you happy, and he's absolutely right. But you know,
Yeah,
it goes
right.
both ways. You shouldn't need another person to make you happy. It should just be a nice thing. You know, it should be something that adds to your life, not the sole source of joy and happiness in your life. However, a child...
Or
Oh, what did I just do? No way. It's that plus there's something else. There's the part with taxes. So let's see if I can manage to get it back.
of joy and happiness in your life. However, a child, when you're a child, you know, your source of happiness and nurturing and joy often does come from your parents. So for a lot of people, where they haven't gotten that as a child, they then seek that out in someone else, and it becomes a primary basic need that they feel like they need a partner in order to have that basic need met. And it's extremely unhealthy, and that's how people become codependent, and that's how you end up having these toxic relationships where eventually people decide, you know what, I'm better off without any kind of human interaction because with the opposite gender, because it's just too painful. And I get that. And I think it's a fair point that he's making about the fact that how you were raised and how your parents treated you often reflects in your intimate relationships.
we did.
Yeah.
And I think even the boomers before us had a lot of the same experience.
Those were even
If I
worse.
had known, 25, 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago, what I know now, I certainly wouldn't have been so eager to get married. And we all have our different reasons at different times. And at the time when I got married, I was a single father. So finding someone who could play that maternal role for my son was a high priority. But in retrospect, it was a mistake, I think that my life probably would have been...
So I was right. He got toasted, and not only once. I don't know what happened with the first, like the mother of his kid. So let's assume nothing bad happened with that one, but he definitely got toasted the second one. So yeah, I read it correctly. Oh, her sad face. At the moment, we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing loads of single mothers, and I think that's damaging. That's just my dumbass opinion, but I think that's damaging a lot the new generation of dudes. Or I don't know if they're gonna be dudes anyway. Either they're gonna be really stressed out or most likely screwed up in some way or form. And I still think that having two parents brings a lot of balance, and it's quite needed. And unfortunately, it's slowly disappearing. The more, let's say, the more rights women have and the more support they get, they're like, you know what, I can be a single mother, I don't care, I'm gonna get help from the government or whatever, so I'm doing this all by myself, screw you. Or you have this new trend with, oh, baby mamas and baby daddies and whatever crap that is. And I actually feel sorry for the new generations of kids.
Just as happy or much happier, and certainly a lot more financially rewarding if I had remained single. Well, you never know. You know, life happens. But I guess my point is, don't feel like getting married is something that is critical to your life. There's so much more to life than marriage and raising children. There's lots of ways to find fulfillment. Don't get stuck in the paradigm.
Oh, I like the way he filmed this.
Getting married and having a family, that's just one option. But because it conforms to societal norms and historical precedent, it's something that men feel obligated to do. The truth of the matter is, it's just a paradigm that has not been challenged in a big way for a very long time. I think that a lot of our ancestors probably figured it out that living with a woman for the rest of your life probably wasn't an ideal solution for most men. The fact of the matter is, our ancestors, our ancient ancestors, spent an awful lot of time away from home. They were hunting and, and they'd be gone for weeks at a time on hunting trips.
He makes an absolutely fair point here. The fact that what modern marriage is not what partnership marriage was, The point of men being sort of away from home is completely fair, because now we have a situation where, I don't know, perhaps his earlier point is what the reason behind it is. Perhaps it's how people were raised, and perhaps women, we've got a rise in fatherless kids. Perhaps it's women wanting to seek out that, parent love in a partner. So they feel this need to have the man with them all the time. It's like, okay, you finish work, you come home to me. Weekends, you spend time with me. And there's two sides to that, that on the one side, when you love someone, you want to be with them all the time. But the flip side, I am a big advocate for men need to be around other men, and men need to have men's spaces. And unfortunately, with women now in the workplace, women have infiltrated men's spaces, and men don't have that time just with other men. And that is a real need for men, because it's biological. It's natural, In hunter-gatherer times, the women would have stayed home with the children and been around other women, and men would have gone out and hunted with other men. And even up until sort of 100 years.
And until that sets us apart, it wasn't that bad, because life expectancy was much, much shorter. Plus, it was the cultural thing. If you got married, and you had, like my grandma, she got married, I don't know, like 16, 17 or whatever that was back in the day. It's like, the only way to get a divorce was mostly if one of them died. And this part with like the woman infiltrating the workforce, I don't know about that, but I don't agree with the idea of like just staying all the time nose to nose. One of the best things that I had in one of the relationships was the fact that we would always give ourselves our not alone time, myself time. So she used to go with one of her friends or some of her friends on a small city break. I used to do the same thing with the dudes. But you need a lot of trust for that, and that's kind of slightly going away. But that was amazing. It's like the fact that we could have. I have, let's say, a beer date with my mates this weekend. She goes with her girls for whatever, a brunch or whatever that is. But it gives you a bit of space where you can actually be just yourself. And for, at least in America, I know they have their men caves. Those look really, really cool. Or like poker nights or anything like that, that you can actually be yourself, not your couple self, because you have that difference. You can notice it with people acting slightly different just because you know you have to take into account the other half as well. So you can't say the same shit when you're with the missus. I suppose it's the same for the ladies, but please let me know. I'm not sure. I'm not a lady, so I have no idea.
Years ago, that was the case, women would hang around with other women and men would go out and work with other men. But we don't have that anymore. And instead, men and women have, in relationships, perhaps become codependent on one another. And then in society, the sexes have completely turned away from each other. So clearly something's not going right. And I feel like we're all just trying to figure it out. But he makes a fair hypothesis.
Trips, finding new places to live, just going out and exploring the world. Staying at home and being a father and a husband was not something that most men did a long time ago. Financially, single men do quite well. In fact, there are several studies that show that financially single men are doing much better than their romantically entangled counterparts. Now,
I think that's pretty obvious.
Granted,
the most amount of traveling that I've done when I was single. The most amount of savings that I had when I was single. Man speak truth. Man say right. I don't think I ever had a partner who had a better credit score than I did. And I'm not saying that all women have shitty credit scores. And I do have examples of couples where the wife is in charge of the finance part and everything. And I don't have a problem with that. And on what she said about like genders going the opposite way, if we're going on the premise of we are equal now, and by all means, through rights and everything, we should be equal. Just we're not equal when it comes to the court of law and divorce, but other than that, we should be equal in a couple. For me, it doesn't really matter who makes more money. It doesn't really matter who's better finances, as long as we are capable of working with each other. And like she said as well, we should complement and grow as a couple and as a family. That's what matters. I wouldn't mind if, let's say, with my kid, if the missus is making more money than me, it would make more sense for me to stay home with the kid, take care of the kid, and she can go and work. I'm okay with that. I can clean the house. Everyone can learn how to cook at some point. The best chefs in the world are men. Who gives a shit? The problem what I have is usually mothers or women, from what I've noticed, they never agree with the way you do it. Their way is much better all the time, so they prefer doing everything. That's what I've noticed, and not only in my situation, but in other couples as well. Most couples.
There are some benefits if you meet the right girl and she can pull her weight and help buy you a house.
And not
but
bitch about it.
For the most part, single men do much better on their own than having a woman in their lives. Budgeting is made much simpler. Prioritizing needs and desires. It's much more straightforward. You don't have to worry about, someone else's spending habits or their fetish for furniture or whatever it may be. You can
Renovating the
decide
kitchen
what's
5
important to
times.
you and spend your money on it, or you can just stash that money away and save it for a rainy day or a sunny day if you like. But
Start investing is better.
yeah, being financially independent as a single man is much more straightforward and simple than it is when you're married, especially if you're financially going to be caring for this woman and maybe even a few children. Oh my gosh, just look at the cost of putting kids through preschool. Forget about college. My God, it costs you a couple $1,000s a month per kid to put them through a preschool program. And then when you get to college, if you got a real smart kid, you could be easily paying $500,000 or $600,000 to get.
So now you have to pray that your kid is dumb. At least he's not going to college. Oof. My advice to this is like start early. The moment you have a kid, I don't know, check your legislation in the country that you're in. Try to find maybe savings accounts, but mostly investment accounts. If you find a savings accounts for cash, it's more tricky. It has to beat inflation, and over time, usually interest rates are not going to beat inflation. So yeah, probably I would go with an investment fund. If you're living in UK, you have the junior ISA, so you can invest up to 9,000 a year, and it's tax free. The only problem is only the kid has access to it when he turns 18. Good part is from 16 he can get to manage it. So then it's up to you to make sure that you are not raising a dumbass and he's not gonna spend the money on shit when he turns 18, no matter if it's a girl or boy. Yeah, but you have options, and that way it might be easier, and you have like a proper college fund in case he's not done.
Your kid through college. Now imagine how you could use that money on your own. Yes. You start to see the benefits already. Doesn't take a genius to figure this one out. I remember when I was a kid, if I got caught doing something stupid, my typical excuse for that stupidity was, well, everyone else was doing it. And
Yeah.
of course, my parents' response to that was the classic, well, if everybody else was jumping off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? I'm like, shit.
I got that.
Anyway, that applies here and now better than ever. Everybody's getting married. Everybody's jumping off a bridge. Just because they're doing it, does that mean you should do it? Be smarter.
That's a fair point. Marriage is more unsuccessful than it has ever been before. Divorce rates are significantly on the rise. It's over 1 in 2 marriages end in divorce. He makes a fair point.
1 in 2.
Don't feel like you have to get married. You don't have to jump off that bridge. There are lots of other things you could be doing with your time.
It's true.
Okay. Can you hear me, Celeste?
Loud and clear, Wally. What's up?
I'm just curious. What's the rate of success for new marriages? How many divorces do you usually get in the first year or two?
The success rate of new marriages depends on a lot of factors.
Just be
But here's
short
the
and to the
reality.
point.
Around 20% of marriages end in divorce within the first 5 years, and about 10% of divorces happen in the first year. Basically, some people realize way too late that, for better or worse, didn't include their spouse's snoring, financial habits, or mother-in-law. Why do early divorces happen? Usually,
Yeah, too much. Okay, cool. Not that bad, but 1 in 2. And the shitty part is that dudes usually kind of lose mostly all the time in divorces. doesn't in some parts it doesn't even matter if it was their fault or not, cheated or not cheated, all of these kind of things. You have cases with guys having to pay alimony even though the kid is not even theirs and all of that crap. So yeah, but the only thing that I would actually have to come back to what he's saying or his version of marriage is, because it seems like an old type mentality of marriage. In 2025, I wouldn't actually expect the guy to take over the whole family or take care of the whole family financially. That seems quite hard to fathom, basically, with cost of living crisis and with all of these things. It's like you have two incomes. You kind of need two incomes in order to go through mortgage, to go through all of these things. I understand supporting your partner, let's say if she's going through school or learning something new or maternity in the first few years, but after that, I don't know. I think you kind of need both of them to basically play equal. The couples that I do know that are married actually are even worse. They have their finances completely separate. So, yeah. But she's still nagging on him. She earns more than him, spends more than him. She doesn't have any savings. He does. And she's always complaining that he has a poor man mentality because he wants to save for retirement for their family. It's a tricky situation, each with its own, so I don't know.
Don't feel like you have to do something just because everyone else is doing it. And don't think you're missing out on something just because everyone else is doing it. Like I just mentioned, divorce is higher than ever before. It might seem like, oh, everyone is getting married, everyone's doing so great. But it's like, are they really? Just wait it out. In 5 years of 4 people who are married that you know, 2 of them will be divorced. So just take life easy. Take it slow. Don't make stupid decisions. Don't jump off the bridge. And just find your own happiness. Find it. And then if you happen to meet a good woman, great. You've already got that happiness there. Your happiness isn't dependent on a woman. And vice versa. Girls, if there's any girls watching this, your happiness isn't dependent on a man. But it can sure come from one.
Money, peace of mind, and all of that stuff. So, just because everybody else is jumping off the bridge doesn't mean you've got to go too. Modern society would have us believe that married men are in better shape, live longer, and are happier. And nothing could be further from the truth. Single guys are much more likely to take care of themselves. They're in much better shape physically. Their health is far better. They have much more time for physical activity. They go to the gym a lot more. And they tend to have better mental health because they are self-sufficient. So they have much greater levels of self-esteem and general happiness in their lives. Married men, especially men that are unhappily married, which is the vast majority of them.
Most of them, yeah.
Tend to die of heart attacks and strokes and cancer at much higher rates than single men. So
I didn't know that.
If you really want to live a long time and you want to look good and feel great, there's a lot of advantages to being single. I don't know why married men get fat. Maybe they think they're off the market. They don't need to worry about themselves anymore.
Married men get fat because they have wives who demand that they spend all of their time with them. And what do the wives do? Sit on their asses and do nothing. So they both get fat.
Generally speaking, married men.
Oh, come on. Just get some barbells and do some exercise in your house. It's like, mate, I'm disabled. I have mobility problems. I don't go to the gym because it's quite hard, difficult, and I would get too tired until I get there. I still have some barbells. I still exercise. I still try to keep myself fit. Because why the fuck shouldn't I? It's my life. It's my body.
Tend to be.
Fuck it, my dad. My dad is like, he's retired. They're still married. My mom and my dad are still married. The guy does like 15 kilometers a day jogging just because he wants to keep himself fit. I'm not sure if he uses that as an excuse to stay away from my mom so that they can have some peace and quiet from each other. But it is what it is. It keeps him fit.
Be in much better married men tend to be in much worse physical condition than their single counterparts. So, single guys.
Yeah, he is right though.
You know, got a lot to look forward to there. Being healthy, strong, mentally fit. Yeah, what could be better? I mean, if you're going to live your life and you want to be happy and healthy, there's a lot of advantages to remaining single.
Look at the
He's
dog
not
watching
single.
the
He has the
drone.
doggy.
Another study found that single guys are much more likely to prioritize their happiness and fulfillment in life. So they are not being tied.
See, married guys should be doing this too. Unfortunately,
Yes.
because we live in a gynocentric society, women have made themselves the center of their own universes and insist upon being the center of everyone else's universe. A man should be finding fulfillment in life regardless of marriage. You know, it's even in the Bible. Women are called helper. Okay, like women, if you're wired correctly, your fulfillment in life is being that helper and looking after children, nurturing children. Like your children are the center of your universe. But instead, we have women who
Yeah, but don't take it into extreme though. That's where the problems come as well in couples. When the woman becomes the mother and after that she is just the mother. And I've seen cases where the kid is already like 12, 13 and mom still sleeps with the kids. The guy is basically single. He's like single but married. So he's like, he has most of the negative parts of being in a relationship with the nagging, the problems, and blah, 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 the financial burden and all of that things. But he has not that many of the benefits of being, so he has most of the problems of being in a couple, but not that many of the benefits of being single. So, and sex not there because how? It's like the kid is the most important thing. It's like women most women at least kind of forget how that kid actually came to be. And the worst case that I've heard of, the son who was 18 was still sleeping from time to time in the same bed with the mom, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck? And where's the dad? How does that work? And I don't think it's like, I literally do not think it's okay for the kids. And my problem is starting to be now that you have psychologists that are like, no, mommy's right. Mommy's always right. Oh, she wanted to breastfeed until the kid was 5. Oh, of course, I understand. Oh, the mommy wants him to be like spoon-fed until he's like 6, 7. Oh, of course he's right. It's like, wait, what are we raising? It's like our job, our responsibility as parents would be to raise our children to be ready for society, not to be, I don't know, helpless. And that's what I kind of see around. I see shitloads of helpless kids. And even worse, now they're like, we're in a zombie apocalypse because all of them are like stuck like this and they're freaking tablets or phone since they're like 6 months old or even earlier. And all they know is this. What are we raising? Anyway.
have made themselves the center of their universe. Everything else is just like, this exists purely to add to me. When really, you should want to be with a guy who has a purpose and you should want to help him strive towards that purpose. You should want to be his safe haven, his peace. You should want him to be able to go out and take on the world, not keep him all for yourself and then turn him into something you hate and then end up divorcing him because you're unattracted to him. Like,
you're not
women don't realize how
with.
much we're shooting ourselves in the foot with this idea of everything revolves around me. Because we don't actually want that. We're told we want that, and then we think we want that, but the reality is like you don't want that. Everything in life is about sacrifice.
This is the problem, that this is the thing that loses me with women. It's just like we think we want that, we're told we want that, but we don't really want that. And she's completely right. She's completely right. But still, it's so confusing for my mind. If any guy watches this, maybe you understand it, or is this the way that this is the part that loses me? They don't even know what they want, but they know they want it, and they want it now. And when they get it, they don't like it. Wow.
Sacrifice and service, and you're going to have to sacrifice on something. So it's either you have the world revolve around you, and you have, you know, your husband pouring into you, your kids are just kind of irrelevant, and everything's about how you feel right now. Well, you're not going to be happy in the future. Or
the present.
You let go of that idea and you focus on acts of service yourself and what you can add to the world, whether it be adding to your husband or your children or your community. And thus you get fulfillment from that. But people just, they can't seem to compute that idea. They can't seem to compute the idea that acts of service can actually bring you fulfillment. They just think they need to be served in order to be fulfilled. And it doesn't make sense. Like, if you actually think it through and you get past the kind of advertising and the sparkly lights, like it was never going to work like that. I don't know why women don't get this.
You need to have a woman.
Why did I do that again? Why they don't get it? First of all, I don't think they even think about it like that. They weren't. They didn't see that option. And this is what they're being fed on social media and by shitty influencers. Let's see if maybe I was here somewhere.
They did a real good job.
Someone else's needs and desires. They're no longer trying to fulfill someone else's image of what their life should look like. They find fulfillment in prioritizing their own happiness and fulfillment in life. Emotional growth and independence is something that single men prioritize in their lives. They tend to be much more psychologically stable. They have a lot fewer difficulties when it comes to emotional health, psychological health. They tend to prioritize those things in their life. Singles experience much more psychological growth, self-determination. They're much less likely to settle into a relationship out of fear or insecurity. They're much more likely to feel independent, resilient. There's just so many advantages to being single. The overall level of happiness when you're single and you're not worried about someone else's happiness is just unreal. So don't.
Is it the same for women though? Are they happier when they're single? Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with him on most parts. Some of his views are a bit, let's say, old-fashioned, but other than that, yeah, no, he's not exaggerating that much. And it's not just me, it's what I see around me. And as I said, like the happiest guys that I know, they have been single for loads of years. And yeah, the only thing that they're missing is, let's say, regular sex. It's not like they're not having sex, it's just not that irregular. But on the other hand, all you married guys, let me know, are you having regular sex, or is it like, oh, maybe I get lucky once a week, once every 2 weeks? Because that's another epidemic. So I'm not sure if they're missing that much on that either. And being married, probably you're gonna get it, and it's gonna be like, oh, here you go, puppy, here, have a treat.
Don't be afraid of embracing a single lifestyle. There are a lot of advantages to it. And just because you're single doesn't mean you're not going to have women in your life. It just means that you're not going to make them your life. That's the difference. Guys who have never been married and remain single through their lives tend to have a lot more friends than their married counterparts. They tend to prioritize these relationships and put a lot of energy into them. That gives them a lot more balance in their life. It gives them a lot more social outlets in their life. They're no longer, compared to their married counterparts who find themselves very isolated in this relationship and dependent on this one other person for all these different needs they have in their life. Single guys are much more balanced socially and emotionally because they have all these friendships. So don't overlook the value of remaining single. There are a lot of advantages to it. I remember when I was a boy hanging out with my friends, and we would talk about what we would do when we grew up. We even thought about running away from home just so we could get there faster, because we really just wanted to grow up, and experience all those benefits, all that freedom of being out from underneath the yoke of a parent. Well, then you grow up and you put yourself under the yoke of a woman. Why would you do that? Really, when you think about it, all the fun and adventure the world has to offer, you're going to trade all of that so you can get married.
Oh, come on. As I said, I think the guy got posted a bit as well. I have examples of like happy couples, and they have been together for like decades, and they go into adventures together. They go climbing, they go skiing, they go visit places and all of those things. So I wouldn't go to either extremes, basically. It's like finding the balanced view and finding a proper partner. And I think this goes both ways for a man and for a woman. That would make more sense. Someone that I would see it as having your best friend, just the opposite sex, and from time to time you actually have sex as well. He's like, from his view, a relationship is basically giving up on yourself, and that shouldn't be the case. He is completely right. That shouldn't be the case. I'm sad, and I really hope he finds someone who proves him wrong, if they still exist. Because I do admit, it seems that with what's going on with social media and all of this crap, it's getting harder and harder to find that. But,
and give all your time, energy, and money to a woman. Now, I have to admit, I love my kids and I love, being a dad, and there's a lot of wonderful things about it. But if that doesn't work out for you, don't sweat it. I mean, really, the world is your oyster. Go out there and do the things that you wanted to do. Don't be afraid. I think fear is what people's most biggest problem is when it comes to this, is men are afraid to get out there and actually see what their potential is. What can they do? What could they do? Yeah, just shed that stuff. Just go out there and do it. You only got this one life. You might as well live it. You might as well have a great time while you're at it. Because single guys are not being tied down by responsibilities, they have a lot more time to explore their personal interests, whether that be travel or hobbies or sports or whatever they want to do. Because they're no longer, or because they aren't tied down to someone or responsibilities, they really have a lot of mobility and diversity in their life that married guys simply can't imagine. It's like being a grown-up child. You can do anything that you want. I mean, it's like all your dreams come true. I remember being a little kid thinking, oh my gosh, I can't wait till I grow up so I can do all this cool stuff. And then I got married. What was I thinking? Why would I do that? Why would anyone do that? Come on, really? Why would you do that?
You would do that because hopefully in an optimistic world, you would be marrying someone that wouldn't prevent you from doing all of that. But I understand his point. Obviously, he married someone who did prevent him from doing all of that, and he really regrets it and probably wasted a lot of time and probably could have had a lot more fun if he didn't do that. But that doesn't mean that everyone.
And probably not just once, because he said that he found the mother for his first kid, and now he said kids. So he got toasted more than once. But yeah, my dad is obsessed with fishing. My mom is not. My dad's hobby was perfect for him because he would go early in the morning, have the day out with the guys. Perfect for my mom because she would have the day out with the girls, and everyone was happy, everyone with its own hobbies. It's okay to be yourself, even if you're in a couple or a relationship. It's not that bad. You just, you need to find the person that actually allows you and likes you the way you are.
Is that way. I know it's a lot of them. I know the divorce stats, but there are still exceptions. There are still people who are happy having someone else in their life. But it's not everyone. And it's not a lot of people. It's not even half.
You're just taking all
And
the
it's
fun
getting
away.
harder.
And you're giving it to some girl. Why would you do that? If you're a single guy, don't be jealous of your married counterparts. There is nothing there to be jealous of. You have a lot of opportunities, and I don't know why life has turned out the way it has for you, but it has. So rather than fighting it, just go with the flow. There are tons and tons of opportunities out there for you to have romantic relationships if you want them, but you don't need to get married to have fun. You don't need to get married to
True.
have a fulfilling life. You don't need to give up your freedom in order to be complete. Your life is complete as it is. You don't need to conform to some societal norm or some historical precedent in order to fit into this world. There's so much to explore and to enjoy. Don't give up your freedom. Don't do it. Maybe one day in the future, society will come to its senses and realize that men have a very valuable place and a very valuable role to play, and that women are
We
not
all do.
all that they're cracked up to be. They are not the do anything Swiss Army knife human being that they claim to be. Enjoy your life as it is. Don't allow your need or thought that you have to have a woman in your life ruin what's a perfectly good thing that you have going right now. You don't want to regret it. You don't want to come to a point where you say, God, everything was going so well, and then for some reason, I thought that I needed to have a woman in my life. Yeah, you don't. Like I've said in my past videos, happiness is subjective. It's something that you decide on. If you're living your life thinking that you need to conform to someone else's idea of what it should be, then you're going to be unhappy. If you
Yeah, that's
find
very
yourself
true.
single and living this life, look at it as an opportunity to be and do all the things that you've ever wanted to do. There's a lot of evidence out there that single guys are much happier, much healthier, and much richer than their married counterparts. So, yeah, enjoy it. Just take it as a gift.
Do you know what I really respect about this guy? He's preaching a just be philosophy. You know, he's preaching acceptance of the way that things are. And he just seems very relaxed. He seems fairly wise, seems like he's learnt from his life. And most of all, what I respect about this is he's kind of giving fatherly advice. And there's probably a lot of guys out there that either don't have a father in their life at all or lack some kind of father figure, or the father in their life isn't a good father figure. And this guy is providing a space where you can listen to an older guy, a guy who's made some mistakes, learnt from them, and just get someone else's perspective. And at the end of the day, like I said, you know, he's preaching a just be attitude. Just be, just accept and exist, be aware, and do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy. And I like that. His top comment is single.
And considering that the top father figure at the moment is Andrew Tate and all the other big G's that are coming after him, yeah, I would rather have this guy giving fatherly advice. And even though, as I said, he is a bit too negative, and you can feel that the guy got toasted a lot. And I feel sorry for him. I hope he finds someone that is amazing. But I understand if your goal shouldn't be to find a person. That's not why you're the only reason you're on the planet. Even if Elon Musk is telling you that you need to have a lot of babies, he doesn't even have them all with the same woman. So it's like,
Exercise every day, eat healthy foods only, no medications, can do 15 pull-ups from a dead hang. I can't even do one. Sleep like a champ, no morons in my
still do.
life. I ignore idiots, never married, 62 years old. Good for you. Being single and able to do whatever you want is priceless. If you marry a good woman, you will be happy. If you marry a bad one, you'll become a philosopher. Socrates.
Pretty much.
Well, it seems like this guy has, embodied that kind of Socrates mindset, and he's become a philosopher and he's sharing his wisdom with other men. That is brilliant. If you marry a good woman, you'll be happy. If you marry a bad one, you'll become a philosopher. I will remember that.
We have loads of
Look, I
philosophers
think the
at
overall
moment.
premise of that video is good. Like I say, if you want marriage, you should strive towards that, but you shouldn't feel like you have to have it in order to be happy. And I can definitely get behind that message. I'm never going to tell people to get married if it's not completely what they want, if it's just something they feel like they have to do what makes you happy in life. That's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you like this video, as always, please do give it a thumbs up on your way out, and be sure to subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the notification bell to make sure that my videos actually come up on your feed. And if you'd like to consider donating to the channel, please click the link in the description at buymeacoffee.com. And on that note, I will see you very soon in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Man, she says it much better than I do, and I understand why she has so many subscribers. Ooh, on that note, let's see. Okay, so if you want to give her coffee, of course you have buymeacoffee.com dash Christine, Grace Mint, whatever. You have the link to her video anyway in the description. Cool. Or if you want to buy me a coffee, you have my link in the description. Let's see what her comments are saying. Marriage is a win for women and a L for the lads. Always, every time. Kinda, yeah. At the moment as society stands, I think that the wheels of justice are not really equal. They're kind of turned on the other side. Single since 2009, and I will not change that. Walk 7 miles per day, 45 minutes sport. Yeah, okay. Fart in my bed, playing games when I want, repair. Oh shit, I really want to start playing games again. Repair my car when I want, buy stuff that I need and not that I want just because someone else thinks it would look good to have that. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that. Peace and quiet is a beautiful thing. Yeah, that is. Okay. People forget men are simple creatures and want simple things. Video games is one classic example. Yeah, but those are addictive. Really addictive. I know of men who lost. Yeah, if I'm yawning because it's 11 at night and I had a long day at work as well. But I met dudes that lost years of uni and years of school, lost their jobs because of games. So let's not go in extremes. Any kind of extremes are quite shitty. Okay. The issue lies in the fact that codependency is prevalent among women. Yeah, but and at some point they're like, oh, you're smuggling me, I need more space. They crave constant entertainment, surprise, oh yes. And the feeling of being cherished. This is exhausting. Yes, it is. I started dating after my divorce out of boredom. Make more friends. Found a pretty interesting woman. Guess what? More stress in my life. Now she wants to talk, or we need to figure out who is going to whose house, or what is going on, or blah blah blah. Women are constantly want attention, and it's exhausting. Ooh. I have tried married and I have tried single. I found single to be infinitely superior experience. Most of my married maids are miserable and frustrated. I feel for them and I'm grateful that I no longer share the predicament. Yeah, truly happy. No, only the single guys that I know are truly happy. She'll just, but I don't see any comments from women, so okay, fine. She'll just leave you the moment you show any vulnerability. My ex-wife left me when a close friend of mine died. You're miserable all the time. She took that opportunity to start an affair, and I found that out when she left. It broke my heart. I'll never trust a woman again. She'd really have to earn it for me to be interested. Well, this guy definitely needs to have some chill time on his own. That's really screwed up what happened to him. And if that is really the reason, or that was just like the drop of water in a full bucket for her, but if you would jump right now in a relationship, it wouldn't be fair for the new woman either, if you know what I mean. So it's like, I think even if he would find the perfect woman for him, he would screw her over just because he doesn't really trust women at the moment. So yeah. We passed 1 hour, so I'm gonna do this one, this two actually, and that's it. After 27 years married and 4 kids, she filed for divorce. Been single 34 happy years since. Lots of women in my life, friends, dates, co-workers, family, even the ex, but nothing where my life is invaded or regulated. That's what I feel and see that is happening in loads of couples, and that's not healthy. Really not healthy. Not only marriage, but every relationship that I have been in, the woman has tried to undermine any hobby or favorite pastime that I had. Even when I tried to include her, the last relationship, oh yeah, that happened to me as well. With acro yoga, I was doing acro yoga with one of my friends. The girlfriend at the time, she wanted to do that because it seemed cool. We tried it, and she ended up being upset and jealous that I can do it much better with other people, which didn't really make sense because they had more training, more will, and more determination to actually do it properly. She was expecting to do everything perfectly because, I don't know, I have no idea. And she, of course, gave up like after a month or two. Even when I tried to include her, the last relationship I was in, we got into an argument about it, and I actually warned her, but she did it again, and I walked away. Yeah. One of my longtime 40 years friends, I only get to see for short windows of time because his wife dictates his schedule. She will go to concerts out of town for 2-3 days, but it's a struggle to schedule time with him for more than 2 hours. I don't understand why it is so important to women to control and manipulate good men, because it's easy to do. I would totally understand if we were going to strip clubs or my hobbies involved other women, but they don't. I would like to have a relationship, but I completely agree with the guy in the video. Men can enjoy life on their own without having someone else controlling them. And definitely that should be more than valid for women as well, right? And let's be honest, if you cannot enjoy your life by yourself, are you really sure that you can enjoy it with someone else? How do you think that being with someone else, considering that you're miserable, having someone else and their problems and their issues as well, do you think that's going to help in any way or shape or form? I kind of doubt it. So if you don't love yourself first, you can't really love others. Or as they say in the airplane, put your your air mask first, and after that to the one next to you. It kind of makes sense. We need to be more independent in a couple. Work together, help each other grow as a family, grow as a couple. but not live for each other. That's when things actually get to go really bad and nasty. And like I said, you end up in that shitty situation when at the end of the day, she's going to tell you that, oh, you're not the man that I fell in love with anymore. I think that happens a lot. And even though most divorces, I think they end up due to, wait, what were the main causes? Okay, so one was the financial part, definitely. And the second one was the parenting part, I think. The third part probably, I would guess, would be the one that, oh, you're not the person I fell in love with anymore after years of trying to change you. And yeah, I got my burns as well. We all do, mate. Tell me what your burn was. And that's it from me. Have a great one. And if I'm not going to be that tired, I'll see you tomorrow night.